Nafisa Collier lit the match. Her exit interview didn't just call out the WNBA's leadership. It exposed the cracks that had been quietly widening for years. Collier accused the league of prioritizing optics over athletes, questioned the treatment of players like Caitlin Clark, and drew a hard line in the sand between management and reality. Within days, Commissioner Cathy Engelbert took the mic and promptly poured gasoline on the fire. Instead of addressing the accusations directly, Engelbert dodged. Her press conference was a showcase of non-answers in PR speak, full of vague generalities and rehearsed lines. No accountability, no urgency, just the kind of corporate deflection that only made things worse.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
And the backlash was immediate. Aya Wilson, Lexi Hull, and Elena Del Don didn't just co-sign Collier's message, they amplified it. One by one, they broke ranks with the league's leadership, making it clear. They weren't afraid to call out the problem anymore. This wasn't a one-player issue. This was a revolt. These are some of the league's biggest names, former MVPs, All-Stars veterans, joining forces to demand change. And their message hit harder than any highlight reel. The leadership model is broken, and Cathy Engelbert is at the center of it. While Engelbert brushed off concerns about Clark's treatment and dismissed safety complaints, players were watching injuries pile up and trust erode. The optics couldn't be more disconnected. The data backed them up. Injuries in the WNBA are up by more than 30%, and players are openly questioning why that isn't a priority. Add that to the league's tone-deaf PR strategy and Engelbert's refusal to even say Caitlin Clark's name during pressers, and it's no wonder credibility is in freefall. Meanwhile, the league's ties to the NBA bring even more pressure. Engelbert reports directly to Adam Silver, and the noise has officially reached his level. Now, whispers of Silver stepping in are getting louder. Investors are nervous. Sponsors are watching. And the league's players have found their voice. For the first time in years, the power dynamics are shifting, and it's no longer about brushing controversy under the rug. This isn't just about Clark or Collier. This is about the WNBA deciding what kind of league it wants to be, and whether its leadership is even capable of taking it there. This isn't just a controversy. It's a full-blown credibility collapse. WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert just got publicly called out, not by internet trolls or fringe critics, but by her own players. And her response? A press conference so vague and evasive it somehow made things worse. Now, the league is neck-deep in a leadership crisis with fans, players, and even media figures demanding answers, and not the canned ones. It all came to a head after Nafisa Collier dropped a bombshell. During her exit interview, Collier didn't hold back. She called out league leadership for its lack of transparency, questioned how the league has handled its rising stars, especially Caitlin Clark, and pulled the curtain back on what players have apparently been dealing with behind closed doors. It was blunt, it was raw, and it hit a nerve, because Collier wasn't just ranting. She was exposing fractures that had been growing beneath the surface for a long time. She gave voice to a frustration that's been building among players who feel unheard, unprotected, and completely sidelined by leadership decisions that prioritize image over substance. So when Cathy Engelbert stepped up to the mic to respond, this was her moment. This was her opportunity to meet that criticism head-on, to restore trust, to show she was listening. Instead, we got a masterclass in avoidance. Engelbert delivered a series of vague, carefully worded statements that dodged the core issue entirely. No clear denial of Collier's claims. No admission. No clarity. Just corporate fluff and rehearsed responses that felt like they were written by a PR intern on autopilot. And the reaction? Brutal. Players weren't fooled. Fans weren't impressed. And media outlets immediately picked up on the contrast. Collier's honest frustration versus Engelbert's polished attachment. It was night and day. One sounded like an athlete trying to make her league better. The other sounded like someone trying to avoid headlines. Except she created even more of them. That press conference didn't calm the storm. It ignited it, because it revealed what so many people have been suspecting for months. A serious disconnect between the league's leadership and the people actually putting their bodies on a line night after night. It didn't help that prominent players started lining up behind Collier. Lexi Hull, Aya Wilson, Elena Del Don. They didn't just drop a like on social media. They spoke up. They backed her. Publicly. That kind of unity doesn't happen unless something's really broken behind the scenes. And when your top-tier talent starts openly questioning the leadership of your league, that's not drama. That's an organizational emergency. This is no longer about one press conference or one player's remarks. This is about a growing divide. A league that presents itself as progressive and empowering, but behind the scenes is struggling to manage basic trust with its athletes. And this moment, it made that divide visible to everyone. Because here's the thing. When Engelbert tried to downplay the allegations and act like everything was under control, she misread the room entirely. Fans are paying attention now. The media is listening. The athletes are speaking out. And the league's usual strategy of corporate calm and empty affirmations isn't cutting it anymore. What made it worse was Engelbert's attempt to play victim, framing the criticism as unfair or exaggerated. But when the majority of your veteran players are publicly supporting those criticisms, you don't get to claim misunderstanding. You get to take responsibility. Or at least you should, because leadership isn't about spin. It's about ownership. And this was a moment that required real leadership, not another half-hearted statement, not another sidestep. And the context makes this even more serious. Cathy Engelbert doesn't just answer to WNBA players. She reports directly to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, which means this isn't just a WNBA issue. This is a corporate issue, a branding issue, an investor confidence issue. And when the woman at the top can't put out a fire that started under her own leadership, people start asking tough questions. Like, how long can she keep this job? Because make no mistake, Silver can intervene. And the speculation that he might, it's growing louder by the day. And it's not just about the Collier comments. It's about everything surrounding them. The injuries, the inconsistent officiating, the growing player concerns about safety, the perception that league management is more interested in optics than actually protecting its athletes. Injuries have spiked by nearly 30% over recent years. That's not a footnote. That's a warning siren. Players are burning out, getting hurt, and still not feeling like their well-being is a priority. And when those same players start uniting behind a common message, that they don't trust the people running their league, you've got a leadership problem that can't be brushed off with another press release. The fans know it. The media sees it. And now the players are saying it out loud. We're at a tipping point. This controversy didn't come out of nowhere. It's been brewing. And the league had every opportunity to get ahead of it. But Engelbert didn't just miss the warning signs. She ignored them. And in doing so, she may have lost the locker room. Because this moment isn't just about Collier or Clark. It's about the broader culture of the WNBA, who it serves, how it communicates, and whether it actually values the athletes who give the league its entire identity. When players feel unheard, when transparency is replaced with carefully curated PR, and when fans start feeling like they're watching a scripted drama instead of real leadership, that's when things start to break down. And that's exactly where the league is right now. The next steps matter. A lot. With the collective bargaining agreement on the horizon, players have leverage, real leverage, and they've shown they're willing to use it. Whether it's about pay, safety, marketing, or leadership, the players are done being passive. This new generation isn't afraid to speak up, and the old guard, they're standing right behind them. So what happens now? If Engelbert wants to salvage her credibility, she'll need to do more than issue another vague follow-up. She'll need to show accountability. She'll need to engage directly with concerns raised by players like Collier. She'll need to stop acting like criticism is an attack and start treating it like what it really is, a demand for better. Because the WNBA can't afford to go into its next era with a leadership vacuum at the top. The stakes are too high, the eyes are too many, and the players are done waiting. If Engelbert can't meet that moment, the league will find someone who will. And maybe, just maybe, that's what the players are hoping for. So what do you think? Is Cathy Engelbert in over her head? Or is this a necessary shakeup to bring real reform to the WNBA? Should Adam Silver step in and clean house? Or does the league need to give Engelbert a chance to course correct? Drop your thoughts in the comments. especially if you think leadership reform is long overdue. And if you're here for more meltdowns, power plays, and off-the-court drama that hits harder than a playoff buzzer beater, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Because in the world of sports scandals and public missteps, the WNBA just gave us a masterclass in how not to handle a crisis. This is no longer just a messy PR moment for the WNBA. This is a full-blown identity crisis. Cathy Engelbert is at the center of it, and no amount of spin, rehearsed statements, or corporate jargon is going to fix what's unraveling here. Because when your players stop whispering and start rallying, when they step up in front of cameras and say, "This isn't working," you've already lost a room. And Engelbert, she didn't just lose the room. She set it on fire with that press conference, and then acted surprised when no one clapped. Let's go back to Nafisa Collier for a second. Her exit interview wasn't some vague critique or passive-aggressive jab. It was a direct call-out. She questioned the league's treatment of Caitlin Clark. Yes, again and more broadly, its failure to protect and promote its talent. She needed to name names. The implication was loud enough. The league's leadership, starting at the top, isn't listening. Now, normally, players try to keep things in-house. You might get a few cryptic tweets or post-game side-eyes, but rarely do you get this level of openness. The fact that Collier went there, that's not frustration. That's resignation. It's a sign that she doesn't believe anything will change unless it's dragged into the spotlight. And the reaction proved her right. Lexi Hull, Aya Wilson, Elena Del Don, these are not fringe voices. These are stars, veterans, leaders. They came out in support of Collier, with no hesitation. That doesn't happen unless something is fundamentally broken behind closed doors. And it's clear now. Players are done playing nice for the cameras, while the league's leadership continues to operate like everything is fine. But let's talk about what Engelbert did say in her response. Or rather, what she didn't say. She didn't address the specific concerns. She didn't acknowledge the player sentiment. She didn't even try to correct the record. Instead, she went vague, broad, diplomatic to a fault. And that didn't come off as professional. It came off as detached. Fans saw it. Media called it out. And the players? They rolled their eyes in real time. Because this wasn't the moment for neutrality. This was the moment for leadership. To look into the camera and say, "We hear our players. We may have fallen short. And we're going to fix it." That's it. That's what people wanted. Not a crisis management template pulled from some corporate playbook written in 2012. But instead, Engelbert went the other way. She made it about her. She framed the criticism as unfair, as ungrateful, as misplaced. That's when it turned. Because you can't lead a league full of powerful, vocal, intelligent women and then play the victim when they demand better. That's not how leadership works. That's not how credibility is built. And it's definitely not how you survive when your job depends on the trust of the locker room. Let's also not ignore the NBA tie-in. Cathy Engelbert doesn't exist in a vacuum. She reports directly to Adam Silver. That's not just a formality. It's a structural reality, which means when things get messy, Silver has the authority to step in. And this is beyond messy. Now, let's be real. Silver's not going to publicly yank her from the podium overnight. But if the players continue to press, if fans and sponsors start showing discomfort, if media keeps pounding the league's inability to connect with its own stars, he will act. The WNBA's not just a side project anymore. It's tied to NBA branding. And bad leadership makes the whole tree look rotten. Sponsors are already starting to notice. Media trust is slipping. And the new wave of fans brought in by Caitlin Clark, they're not sticking around for corporate theater. They're here for the players. The rawness, the competition, the honesty. And when the commissioner of the league can't match that energy, people tune out. And don't think this is just about Clark. That's the surface. The lightning rod. What this is really about is the league's entire approach to its athletes. The ones putting their bodies on the line. The ones pushing the game forward. The ones who deserve leadership that protects them, elevates them, and stands with them when things get tough. Instead, what they've gotten is injury spikes, questionable scheduling, PR half-truths, and a commissioner who seems more interested in preserving image than responding to reality. Let's talk about injuries. According to players, injuries are up significantly, 29 to 36% in just the past few years. That's not bad luck. That's a trend. That's players asking for better conditions, better schedules, and better rest, and not getting it. These aren't complaints. They're warnings. Warnings that are now backed by the kind of public support that can shift an entire league's direction. The issue is clear. The players no longer trust leadership to have their best interests in mind. And in a league as tightly run and small scale as the WNBA, trust is everything. Without it, the whole thing falls apart. Right now, we're witnessing that trust crack in real time. So, what happens if Cathy Engelbert doesn't step down? Or worse, if she continues to act like these criticisms are just noise? The players will escalate. That's not a threat. It's a promise. Because what this controversy proved is that players are no longer waiting for change to come from the top. They're demanding it. Publicly, collectively, and unapologetically. And that's exactly what needs to happen. Because at this point, it's not just about one bad press conference, or one poorly handled interview, or one disgruntled player. It's about a system that hasn't adapted to the reality of a league that's growing faster than its leadership can handle. The WNBA isn't niche anymore. It's not a novelty. It's mainstream. It's covered. It's dissected. It's watched. And if the leadership isn't evolving with that growth, it's going to be replaced. The players have the platform. They have the audience. And now, they're finding their collective voice. One that doesn't flinch when calling out the commissioner. One that doesn't wait for approval to speak the truth. The CBA negotiations are looming and the power dynamics have shifted. The players are no longer walking into those talks asking for scraps. They're walking and knowing that their voice is the product. And if leadership can't match their level, it's time for new leadership. So here we are. The future of the WNBA is hanging in the balance. And Cathy Engelbert is on borrowed time unless she makes some serious changes. And fast. This isn't just a rough patch. This is a defining moment. And how the league responds will shape everything that comes next. Is this going to be the scandal that finally pushes the WNBA toward transparency, toward athlete-first policies, toward the leadership it desperately needs? Or is it going to be remembered as the moment the league fumbled its biggest opportunity yet? Let's be very clear. This league is at a boiling point, and Cathy Engelbert is standing right in the steam, pretending she doesn't feel a thing. The players have spoken. The fans are watching. The trust is eroding. And yet, Engelbert is still treating this like a minor PR bump. Like all of this can be smoothed over with another round of polished sound bites and some half-hearted "we hear you" tweets. No, the players are done waiting. The trust has been broken. And every time Engelbert steps to a microphone and dances around real questions with vague, bureaucratic doublespeak, it's another blow to her credibility and to the league's future. This isn't just about optics. This is about leadership that refuses to lead. About a commissioner who seems more invested in maintaining control than listening to the very people the league depends on. And now, with the spotlight hotter than ever, the cracks are fully exposed. You can't lead an entire league of women who fought tooth and nail for visibility, respect, and legitimacy, and then act confused when they call you out for being absent in the moments that matter most. And what's wild is Engelbert had so many chances to get ahead of this. When Collier made her statement, the playbook was simple. Acknowledge the concern, commit to real dialogue, and show the public that leadership was listening. That's it. That would have been enough to open a door toward reconciliation. Instead, she gave the kind of press conference that corporate lawyers write in their sleep. It was robotic, sanitized, and ultimately insulting, not just to Collier, but to every player who's been quietly biting their tongue while watching leadership stumble through yet another avoidable mess. Now, they're done being quiet. This moment has become more than just a player versus league storyline. It's about the core culture of the WNBA, a culture that's always been sold as progressive, empowering, and player-forward, but is now being revealed as top-heavy, ego-driven, and disturbingly resistant to change. Because if the league truly stood by those values, this moment would have never gotten this far out of hand. Instead, we're watching some of the league's biggest names, not just speaking out, but banding together. And when Elena Del Don, Aya Wilson, and Lexi Hull are all taking a public stand in solidarity with Naphy Collier. That's not some petty drama. That's a movement. It's a signal that the players are ready to take control of the league's narrative, with or without the people at the top. And if you're Cathy Engelbert, that's the loudest warning shot you'll ever get. Because if the players unite and stay united, not only can they force change, they can define what that change looks like. That's the real shift happening here. This isn't just pushback. It's players realizing they have leverage. They have the voice, they have the public support, and they have the receipts. What they don't have anymore is patience for a commissioner who thinks damage control is the same as leadership. Engelbert playing the victim in all of this? That's not just tone deaf, it's deeply out of touch. She wasn't ambushed. She wasn't misunderstood. She was called out, and she responded by sidestepping the entire conversation, making it about herself, and refusing to show any accountability. You don't get to pretend you're the adult in the room while your players are practically begging you to hear them. And if Adam Silver is paying attention, and you know he is, he can't ignore what's happening much longer, because the WNBA isn't just some side investment anymore. It's a growing brand with massive potential, and it's currently being mismanaged at a foundational level. Every misstep by Engelbert is now a risk to that brand. And Silver, as someone who understands long-term business health, has to be weighing whether it's worth keeping a commissioner who's become a liability in the eyes of her own players. That's the kind of pressure that changes things fast. Because this isn't the kind of drama that fades away in a week. The players have drawn the line. The media isn't letting go. The fans are asking real questions. And now, every future move Engelbert makes is going to be under a microscope. Every injury stat that goes up, every vague answer at a press conference, every time another player dares to speak up. It all comes back to this. Does the league have a commissioner who actually leads? Or does it have one who just survives scandals until the next one inevitably arrives? Because let's be honest, if Engelbert survived this, it won't be because she changed. It'll be because someone else in the system decided not to act. And if that happens, the league sends a very clear message to its players. Your voice doesn't matter unless it fits the agenda. That's a dangerous message, and it's one the WNBA cannot afford to send. So now the clock is ticking. Do the players continue their public push? Do sponsors start applying quiet pressure behind the scenes? Does Adam Silver make the call? Or does the WNBA finally realize what the rest of us have been screaming from the sidelines? Leadership that won't evolve doesn't get to stay in power just because they've got a title. Cathy Engelbert might still be commissioner right now, but the authority, the respect, the trust, that's already gone. So what's next? Let us know where you stand in the comments. Should Engelbert step down? Should the players demand more than apologies and empty statements? Or is this just the start of a bigger, much-needed reckoning in professional sports leadership? And if you're here for more breakdowns of power struggles, public backfires, and the moments when the mic gets dropped and the mask falls off, hit that subscribe button. Because when the people at the top get too comfortable, we'll be right here breaking down every single fallout. The truth, it always comes out. And in this league, it just did.